Hello, YouTube. This is Jay Coder back with another stream. And today we are going to be going over a guide about design techniques. And it's from the official Android developer site. And we're going to see, you know, some best practices here. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel and like this video and comment. So we as developers, we can use all the design tips that we can get because mostly we are immersed in learning the code and things like that. So I want to also have things about design on the channel as well. So, all right, what we have here is this guide article says under the layout and content. And so I'm going to go over it. A layout defines the visual structure for a user to interface with your app, such as in an activity. Android provides a range of libraries, canonical starting points, and techniques to display and position content. Takeaways on our device, safe areas, which includes parts of the UI such as display cutoffs, edge to edge insets, edge displays, software keyboards, and system bars. Do provide flexible layout for users to interact with keyboard. And so here's an example of a good layout that allows for clear use of the keyboard. Keep essential interactions like primary navigation in a reachable screen area. Be careful when covering content with the keyboard. Floating action buttons provide a prominent and reachable interaction point. Use containment to group related content to guide the users through content and actions. Cards using explicit containment to group content with related actions provide consistent alignment between similar content and UI elements. Don't disrupt readability by inconsistently spacing like elements which make design appear haphazard. Do establish consistent spacing between like elements. So right here you can see that it's not uniform where the elements are not uh, cleanly spaced and aligned. And so make sure when you design things like your list that the the icons line up with the icons, the names line up with the names, and the pluses line up with the pluses, or else you'll get kind of a confusing experience like this image on the right. Don't stick to portrait or an I- idealized layout. Consider different aspects, ratios, size, classes, and resolutions that users may encounter. Don't overwhelm your user with too many actions per view. When building custom layouts, notate how content should sit within the layout using alignment constraints or gravity terms. Include how images should respond to their container to display properly. Parts of a typical Android app screen. Most Android apps consist of regions referred to as the system bars, the navigation area, and the body. So, system bar and the body and then and the two navigation area. System bars, the status bar and navigation bar, collectively known as the system bars, display important information such as battery level, the time, and notification alerts, and provide direct device interaction from anywhere. And you guys can also read more about system bars. System bars are an integral part of the device interface, and them as a top layer of your design to ensure they're accounted for within the screen layout. Otherwise, users might mistakenly assume the intent is to hide them. You miss out on styling them, and spacing can end up being off. Add the bars as a top layer. Use Android dot navigation bar color and Android status bar color to apply colors to the system bars in your app's theme. Navigation region. Navigation represents the different affordances that allow a user to navigate within your app, access important actions, or across the Android platform. Body region. The body region holds the screen content. Body content is composed of additional groupings and layout perimeters and must continue under navigation and system bar regions. Declare window.compact.set declare fits system windows for edge to edge insets. To determine, so, so, yeah, so for example, certain devices need a certain amount of room on the bottom and the sides. To determine the appropriate composition and navigation patterns for your layout, seek to understand how users interact with your content, how they navigate your app's information architecture. This understanding can guide your design toward being more user focused by creating UI that users can act on. Content composition and structure. Build up a flexible flow and rhythm with a structure and containment methods for your content. Base structure. Use margins and columns for visual guardrails to determine creating a solid structure with consistent guardrails and margins and columns to your layout. Margins provide spacing on the left and right edges of the screen and content. A standard margin value for compact sizing is 16 dp, but margins should adapt to accommodate larger screens. Your app's body, content, and actions may stay within and align with these margins. You can ensure inset safe zones or insets at this step. System bar insets prevent crucial actions from falling under system bars. See, draw your content behind the system bars for details. And there's a guide about drawing the bars behind the drawing the content behind the system bars. And use columns to build a flexible grid structure for consistent alignment to provide vertical definition to a layout by dividing content within the body area. Content goes in the areas of the screen containing columns. These columns lend structure to your layout, providing convenient structure to arrange elements. So having a nice grid like this helps to keep things organized and aligned. Use a column grid to align content with an underlying grid, but retain flexible sizing. The column grid can accommodate different form factors by changing the column sizes and number of columns as needed by the screen size at certain points while allowing content to also scale. Avoid being too granular with column grids. This is what the baseline grid is for, providing consistent spacing units. By careful Be careful of establishing an accompanying grid of rows as it can restrict horizontal content scaling across orientations and form factors. Typically, establishing padding rules will provide the needed visual consistency. So, structuring the layout like this helps to establish consistency. They said most of the devices are can be structured in like these four columns. Starting to add copy to the layout structure, margins protect content from the screen's edges. Columns provide a consistent spacing and alignment. Use containment to visually group elements. Containment refers to using white space and visible elements together to create a visual grouping. A container is a shape that represents an enclosed area in a single layout. You can group together elements that share similar content or functionality and separate them from other elements using open space, typography, and dividers. You can group similar items together with white space or visible divisions to help guide the user through content. So, so basically, you see how it's organized here. We're breaking content into two larger groups of header and header and primary copy. So header and primary copy, they're split into two groups there. And then here's like an example here where you have like the copy and then the the actual body below that. And so positioning of content, Android has multiple ways to handle content elements in their respective containers that can help position them appropriately, including gravity, spacing, and scaling. Gravity is a standard for placing an object within a potentially larger container for specific use cases. The following figure shows examples of positioning objects: start and center, top and center horizontal, bottom left, and end and right. So, all right, and so that displays the different positioning here of the positioning gravity of child content and parent views. Scaling is crucial to accommodate dynamic content. Device orientation and screen sizes. Elements can remain fixed or be scaled. Note Noting how images are displayed within their containers with scaling and position is important to ensure it appears how you want the image to look despite the device context. Otherwise, the image's primary focus could appear cut off. Images could be too small or large for the layout or other undesirable effects. Center cropped image, which ensures the plant is centered within the container regardless of device size. Content that is not notated can appear differently than you expect or want. Content that is not notated can appear in unexpected ways. Pinned content. Many elements have built in interactions, scrolling and positioning with slots or scaffolds. Some elements can be modified to stay fixed instead of reacting to scrolling. For example, floating action buttons, fabs that house critical actions. Alignment. Use alignment line to create custom alignment lines which parent layouts can be used to line and position their children. Don't disrupt readability. Don't disrupt readability by inconsistently spacing like elements, which can make designs appear haphazard. So it's more readable if things are aligned, such as with these boxes here. Right here, it's more unclear about the which elements are space of which elements, and clearly can be seen to the eye what is being conveyed on the screen, and so it has to be clearly aligned. And let's skip down a little bit here. I want to see if we can find some more do's and don'ts before we wrap up. Okay, all right. And so there's different types of layouts. Like there's canonical layouts. You utilize canonical layouts as a starting point, ready to use compositions that help layouts adapt for common use cases and screen sizes. These layouts are aesthetic and functional and derived from Material 3 guidance. The Android framework includes specialized components that make implementation of the layout straightforward and reliable using either Jetpack Compose or Views API. List list detail layout. A list detail layout enables users to explore lists of items that have descriptive, explanatory, or other supplementary information. The item detail for compact screen sizes, only the list or detail view are visible. Displaying a collection of content in a row-based layout, lists make up the most common form of layouts for apps. List detail is ideal for messaging apps, contact manager file browsers, or any app where the content can be organized as a list of items that reveal additional information. Content can be static or dynamic. Dynamic content is content that your app serves on the fly and is ideal for showing user generated content or reflect the user's preference or actions. For example, imagine a photo app with a scrollable list of user generated photos, which is unique for each user and changes as the user uploads more images. These images are dynamic content. Static content represents hard coded content, which is modifiable only by making changes directly to your app's code. Examples of static content are images and text that every user might see. And so there's feed layouts. A feed layout arranges equivalent content elements in a configurable grid for quick, convenient viewing of a large amount of content. So this is a photo gallery, and a grid layout is a common feed format. Okay. Supporting pane layout. A mobile view may require supporting content or controls, typically in the form of sheets or dialogues. So this has like a pop up that comes over the content con- for different content that helps with the settings and things like that, such as bottom sheets can act as a supporting content to the primary view and things like that. And then there's relative layouts, inputs, content, or other actions may appear relative to each other or constrained to a parent container. Layouts can be more custom, but make sure to follow consistent grouping and columns and spacing. And so layouts can have a combination of groupings, lists, and grids. Authentication is a common relative layout as shown in the following figure. So this is a sign up screen and it can be it can be considered a relative layout. And then so we have adapt layer layouts. Adaptive design is the practice of designing layouts that adapt to specific breakpoints and devices. Usually, we consider the width of the device to determine where the layout should be, change, or adapt. Both web and Android util- utilize responsive design concepts. So, it's important for the layout to be adaptive and be able to adjust to different screen sizes. And they also have web views. Web view is a view that displays in app web pages. In most cases, we recommend using standard web browser like Chrome to deliver content to the user. So basically, if you wanted to deliver web content, they discourage web views and would encourage you to use the standard web browser. So, all right. Well, I wanted to go over some of these aspects in this guide, and hopefully, this helped a bit. Where hopefully it helps with your design of your apps, and so also if you want to look more into this guide that I went over. It's called Layout Basics on developer.android.com. And all right, well, if you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, always stay coding. Okay, see you later. Peace.